Hey folks, we recently did a major update for our Power BI data. We stopped going to SQL to host our data and we started putting it on what's called Parquet. So Parquet is a newer, faster file format which basically looks per column instead of per row. Long story short, it's about 60 times faster for exporting the data from Revit into a Parquet file and also for ingesting that data into Power BI. So extremely faster. We had projects that used to take 4 or 6 hours, many gigs of data, and now that is a couple, maybe 15-20 minutes instead of all of these hours. So it's kind of a revolutionary step, but that's not actually what I want to talk to you about today. I want to talk to you about how AI is able to gobble up that Parquet data and understand your model and give you some really interesting insights very easily. So we're going to be using the BIM Guru hospital for this, and basically here VIM Enterprise has created the Parquet file. It's also put it on the internet so Power BI can read it, but it's made a folder for this. So what I've done is I've simply created a zip file here that I'm going to give to my AI using Opus 4.5. So make sure don't use a free or the fastest is really not the smartest, right? There's a lot of data in here. You got to use the good models, the ones that are actually capable and have that kind of bandwidth, that kind of memory to be able to go through this. We're going to ask it about the BIM data quality first, and we're going to focus on going towards an MEP estimation process. So unlike ChatGPT, Claude AI is able to go through and decipher and query the Parquet files. So the choice of the AI really matters. We also found that Copilot was very boring, kind of stupid in its answers regarding the Parquet file, although it was able to read it. And I don't think we were able to read it through Gemini either. So Claude Opus 4.5 is really the direction that you should go if you're going to be playing with AI and BIM at the moment. Now here in VIM Flex, we're just going to have a peek at the model in case you aren't familiar with it. So this is basically one of the standard tutorial models that have been augmented by BIM Guru with better BIM data. Okay, so it's done its 30 steps of analysis and went through a lot of different processes and a lot of realization and change and strategy as it went through this. And now we're starting to see the report being written live. Interesting insight here. It's just kind of floating up the problems to the top. All right, so we're just going to ask it to do even more prioritization. And I want to question it, right? It seems to me like this is maybe irrelevant or inaccurate. So now ducts should have length, but there's a lot of things that won't have a length or an area or a volume in the MEP model. So let's have it continue to summarize things and kind of train it and question it and not just take everything for granted that it tells us. At the same time, as we see, it's kind of sycophantic, right? So it's like, oh, you're right. Oh my God, you're absolutely right. You have to not let that get to you and kind of just neutralize it from your mind altogether. Oh, yeah, of course, BIM Guru's in Australia. Okay, great. So this is a really interesting report. If you didn't know anything about BIM and you could just point at a model and say, hey, is this ready for estimation? This is the kind of information you would need. So there's not really any manufacturing data. Of course, like we said, it's a learning model. It's not a real fabrication or even design model. But there's missing systems. It's not really clear. There's no cost and there's very little manufacturer information. So we could go on like that and even provide it our own BIM standards and requirement to check. But what I wanted to show you today is just how powerful and simple this workflow is. So through VIM Enterprise, you create the Parquet file, and then you just drag and drop that Parquet file into Claude or another AI, and it's able to read all of that and talk to you like a human. Now, of course, you can still go into Power BI. Some things are much better immediately being available in a graphical, interactive manner. But this really bridges a gap between people who are not going to go into Power BI, are not data savvy, but understand, want to have a conversation with the model, and not only with a model, but potentially with 10, 50, 100 modules, because we can merge the data into a single VIM, into a single Parquet, and then the next step after that is going to be to analyze the changes between that data. What's changed since last week? What's changed since last year? And also we're bringing in the last updated by or created by. So at a very large level, you're going to be able to see who's creating all of the warnings and even see that over time. So lots of really cool stuff coming for 2026. I hope this was interesting for you. I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.